Hi there, it's Sarah here and welcome to our training session on what is keeping you stuck. So this is a very special emotional health coach training session for midwives, and we are going to be doing a couple of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes out for the ones that have gone before this and the ones that are coming after. Okay, now don't worry if you found this this training session and you're thinking, but Sarah, I'm not a midwife. That is absolutely okay. Never fear, because the information that I'm sharing with you today is going to be a huge benefit to you too. So today we're looking at what it is that's keeping you stuck. But before we tuck in, let's do a very quick introduction. So my name's Sarah. I'm founder of the Emotional Health Coach Academy and creator of the formula, as it's lovingly known in our circles. It's a unique and powerful formula that's going to allow you to overcome emotional symptoms such as stress, anxiety, overwhelm, fears and phobias, doubts, worries, concerns, that kind of thing, unexplained physical symptoms, the muscle tension, the back pain, the IBS, all of those kind of things, and of course those unwanted habits and behaviours. Maybe drinking, maybe smoking, maybe overeating, gambling, always doing the online shopping, and having more parcels delivered. So whatever it is that you are experiencing, that you want to give up, that you want to stop, that you want to offload and get rid of, this is the program for you. And the program allows you to fully thrive, to flourish, to prosper in all areas of your life and career. So the formula then is something that I've adapted over 14 years of thousands and thousands of hours of work in person in my busy practice with my clients from all walks of life, with a range of different problems and symptoms. And I've put this together through working with them, using different modalities, and coming up with a program that is as unique to your client as their thumbprint is to them. So we follow the framework and we help our clients find their own unique formula to thrive. So these days I spend less time in my busy practice and more time working on training, and in particular training midwives in my methodology so that they can help themselves, so they are in a better position to support the families in their care, and of course the colleagues that they are working alongside. Now, back to today then, and what it is that's keeping you stuck. So this training is for you if you're a midwife, a student midwife, a healthcare professional, or someone that is struggling to cope with the build-up of working in an emotionally intense work environment where things can and of course do go wrong. And this environment, this emotionally intense environment, is being made worse by the challenges that you're facing, such as staff shortages, heavy workload, and not having enough time to provide that deep level of care that you love to give, that you went into this profession for. And of course then that, on top of everything else, compounds and starts to create stress, anxiety, burnout and depression. So first and foremost then, I want to say this. If this is you, you are not alone. Okay, you're not alone. This is a huge problem. And it was there pre-COVID, and it's been magnified since. And I know this to be true because over the years I've supported hundreds of midwives, healthcare professionals and maternity service users. And I can clearly see what's going on. And I know for a fact that you certainly won't be the first person who has experienced emotional exhaustion due to things like having to deal with the wide range of complexities and difficulties that can arise during birth. You know, I've spoken to midwives who feel upset at the way some births have panned out, but they feel like they can't show their vulnerability in fear of looking weak or not fit for purpose, not fit for the job, which is absolutely heartbreaking when you think that you are in a role that's centered around care and compassion. And that same amount of care and compassion that you give doesn't come back to you. I've spoken to people who struggle with the lack of flexibility of working opportunities, and they have to juggle family life, which can leave you feeling really guilty. You know, you're guilty about being at work when you feel like you should be at home with your family, and then vice versa. When you're at home with your family, you feel guilty because you're not there supporting your colleagues, especially when you know that they are short-staffed. And of course, not receiving fair pay for the very important work that you do. So you end up feeling undervalued and unappreciated, which over time when we're giving all our time and we're giving all our care and it's not coming back to us, we can end up feeling just a little bit resentful. And this is human nature. Okay, it's just human nature. It's normal for you to have that resentment if this is you. And it's perhaps something that we don't like to talk about. We kind of sweep that bit under the carpet because we don't want to admit to it. But nonetheless, it is very true. So I want you to know that I understand. And I want you to know that it is okay and it's normal to feel like this. And it's okay. If it's okay with you now, what I want to do is share with you what it is that's keeping you stuck. And I'm going to do that the best way that I know how, using one of my frameworks. You can see here I've got the wall beside me and I'm going to draw out my anxiety loop. Now you might have seen this before. You might have seen this taught by one of my students. If you follow any of my students, then you might have seen this. I share it in my emotional health coach training program and it is enlightening, really enlightening. And it came about after working in my private practice, seeing so many clients, very different problems, very different symptoms, and seeing that all of these from all different walks of life, and of course seeing that they all seem to have these common themes. And so I began to map it out step by step, and I came up with a really simple way of showing someone how anxiety is created, and also being able to see that if we play a part in its creation, we can play a part in its uncreation too, okay? Which of course is the answer that we're all looking for. What's keeping me stuck? Why do I feel this way? And what can I really do about it that's actually going to work this time? Because let's face it, there's lots of quick fixes out there. And the problem with quick fixes is that we try something and we feel better for a little while, but then it comes back, doesn't it? And you think, oh, why does it keep coming back? And so you feel like you're never actually going to get over it. Well, that was certainly the case for me all those years ago. So I cannot wait to walk you through the anxiety loop. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to do it with you now. If you've got pen and a piece of paper handy, I would certainly grab one and I would take some notes because there's a lot of value coming up, okay? Alrighty, so let's have a look at the anxiety loop now. The anxiety loop is in 5 stages. There are 5 steps to this loop. And first of all, I'm going to put the 5 stages up on the board here, and then we will walk round it with an example, okay? Got pen and paper handy, draw this out for yourself. It's massively, massively, massively valuable, okay? All right, so at the top, we have got trigger. I'm going to write the word trigger at the top. That is step 1. There is always a trigger. Now, the trigger might be a sight, a sound, a smell, a taste, a touch, okay? Let's use sight as an example. It might be something you've seen. You might have seen something unpleasant happening that's upset you. You might have seen somebody give you a little bit of a look and then worry about what that actually meant. It might be that you've read a text and misread what it actually means, okay? So it's anything that you see that creates some kind of discomfort in you, okay? Triggers can be positive as well, but for the purpose of the anxiety loop, we are looking at the negative triggers. All right. So trigger number 1. Then we have a thought. Let's write that down there. Thought. That is number 2. Step 2 is the thought. Now, thoughts can be helpful. They can be unhelpful. They can be natural thoughts that we have. They can be thoughts that we adopt, okay, that other people might plant the seed, and so we adopt those thoughts. We all have different styles of thinking, which is something that we go into quite deep in our methodology. So we have different styles of thinking. And we all have thoughts based on our personality, our belief systems, our experiences, and of course our core psychological roots. Now, step 3, then, coming down a bit further in the loop, is to have a reaction. Can't spell there. Reaction, number 3. Now, reactions might be, so it might be that we have an emotional symptom, like frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, that kind of thing. It might be that we have a fear or a phobia. So a fear is a big word. A phobia is a big word. But basically, it's a worry, a doubt, a concern about something. And sometimes when we're doubtful, that doubt can be self-doubt too, okay? Then we've got unexplained physical symptoms. So this is where maybe psoriasis, IBS, tension headaches, migraines, all those kind of things. Okay, there's unexplained physical symptoms. And then over here at the top we've got habits and behaviors, so those routines and rituals that we get into that perhaps aren't the most helpful that we could. Okay, and then once we've done that, so we've got step 1 trigger, step 2 thought, step 3 reaction. I'm moving over here now to number 4, which is where we berate ourselves, to give ourselves a hard time. So berate, for that I'm going to draw a heart, and I'm going to break that heart there. Just break it. It's a broken heart, broken-hearted. And you know, berating is our inner dialogue. It's where we reinforce these unhelpful thoughts. It's where we reinforce those unhelpful reactions. Adds to the pressure and the symptoms that you've got going on. Okay, and then we look for something to blame it on. So the last one is number 5, a blame or an excuse. And sometimes that blame is external, sometimes that blame is internal too. Okay, we look for reasons, we're looking for logic, we're looking for a reason why, we're looking for an excuse, we're trying to find some kind of logic as to why we feel the way that we do. Okay, so it might be, she made me feel upset and angry, the kids are playing up tonight, it might be, I've just had the most stressful day. Okay, so we look for something a reason why. All right, so let's go through this loop. I'm going to change the color of my pen to green, and let's walk through the loop as if you've just got off a shift and you're going to bed. And I don't know, let's just say the trigger is 10 p.m. bedtime. Obviously with your shift patterns it might be a different time, but let's use that for today. Okay, you can write down your own triggers of course, but for today the trigger is 10 o'clock bedtime, and the thought is particularly unhelpful because as I lay down and go to sleep, my mind comes alive and I start replaying the day, and I'm thinking about what was said and what was done, what was actually meant by that. So there's an awful lot of overthinking going on. And as I'm replaying the day in my mind, sorry, I'm having an unhelpful thought. Let's put a frowny face in there. Okay, an unhelpful thought. So I'm replaying that day in my mind. It's not being very favourable, okay? It's not very comfortable. It's making me feel uncomfortable. And so I'm creating a reaction. Let's draw in a pressure gauge here. Red zone, normal. Let's write the word pressure underneath. And so the more I'm thinking about these things, I'm getting a reaction, okay? So I start to toss and I turn, and I can't get comfortable and I can't sleep even though I'm so tired. Start to get a bit frustrated because I've got a really busy day again tomorrow, and those self-doubts start to drop in. And I start to think about my ability to do my job. They start creeping in. I might worry about what other people think, what other people are saying. I might get concerned about the actions that may or may not have been taken. And my body gets quite tense, and I feel like my jaw is clamped together and my teeth are grinding and I'm fidgety, and it takes hours before you can get to sleep. Okay, it might feel like that's something that's familiar to you. And then of course, while all that's going on, we're giving ourselves this really hard time. We're starting to berate ourselves for all that's gone wrong in the day, and you know, everything that's going to come the next day. And I'm going to be tired tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to cope, or I'm going to look like rubbish, and so on and so forth. So we give ourselves a really hard time, and when we do that, it reinforces the thoughts that we're having. So that frowny face gets bigger, and it reinforces the reaction that's happening. So that pressure gauge goes up. Okay, these are all drivers for the symptoms and problems that we're experiencing. All right, so then what happens is we come up to the next stage where we start to look for something to pin this on. Why can I not get to sleep? It might be that I've worked with someone, it's been a really stressful day, I've worked with someone that I don't get on with. It might be the family that I had were really complaining. It might be that I'm internally self-blaming. Maybe I'm not experienced enough, maybe I'm not confident enough, maybe I'm not good enough in some way. Perhaps work was fine, it was just when I got home and everybody played up, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It might be opening my post and seeing yet another bill that's triggered me. We can look for all kinds of reasons. Honestly, X, Y, Z, you can literally insert anything that you want in that place, okay, in that step 5. So hopefully then you can see the anxiety loop working out and how it might play out for you. Of course, the example that I've just given here about sleep might not apply to you. You might not have a problem with sleep. It might be that you get headaches, tension headaches, migraines, compulsion to eat chocolate, drink wine, smoke, shop online for a little bit of escapism. Either way, however you feel this in, whatever your trigger is, whatever your thoughts are, whatever your responses are, however you berate yourself, whatever excuse or blame or logic you try to apply to this 5-step process will always remain the same. How you fill it in is going to be different. Now, you only need to go round this circle once for it to become a belief system, okay? And you only need to go round it twice for that belief system to become normal for you. And once it's become normalized, we start to just accept it as truth. We start to believe that this is who we are, how we are, and what we have to live with. Of course, it's not true, okay? For the most part, it's not true. The belief system that we've created here is based upon a lie that we told ourselves right back at the beginning, just after we were triggered, when we laid down to go to sleep, that what did they mean by this? It must be because, what was they thinking? That replaying the day and coming up with something that perhaps wasn't really there or didn't need to be there. So when our mind creates something, when we have these thoughts create something, we're always going to get a response in our body. It's like the mind is the driver of the car and the body is the car. So if your mind is telling you to go left, you'll go left. If your mind is telling you to go right, you'll go right. Likewise, if your mind is full of unhelpful, unsupportive thoughts, it's going to create unhelpful symptoms in your body, okay? And vice versa. If we start to create more helpful thoughts, more empowering thoughts, we're going to reduce that level of stress and anxiety and pressure, and we're going to start filling up our heart, because we're talking kindly to ourselves. There's no need to give ourselves a hard time. With the same amount of care and compassion that we give others, then there's no need to have a blame. There's no need to find an excuse, whether it be external or internal, because we just take responsibility. And that's when we become empowered, okay? And when we become empowered, we lose the BS. BS up there stands for belief system, but it could also stand for something else. I'm not going to say it in case there's any young ears listening, but you know what I mean, okay? So we tell ourselves these lies, this BS, and really we're not focusing on the truth, all right? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to revisit this loop, this training, with a pen and a piece of paper. If you haven't done it already, go around that anxiety loop, won't you? Learn how it works for you. It's a really powerful, really beneficial exercise that you're going to get an awful lot of value from. It's going to help you to see your role in the levels of stress and anxiety that you might be experiencing. And if not you, if you're not experiencing stress and anxiety or burnout or depression, any other kinds of symptoms, it might be someone that you know, okay? And if you can see someone who is experiencing this and you can help them apply this loop to them, then you're going to help them to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, we have more control and influence over our problems and symptoms than at first we might think. Obviously, we can't control and influence everything, but we can make a difference. We can make a difference. You can make a difference. And that's what this is all about. This is about making a difference. This is about feeling empowered. This is about taking back control of your symptoms, reducing your symptoms so that you can thrive in the workplace, so that you can flourish in your life and business, so that you can prosper in your career opportunities. Okay, so let's have a recap then. We've talked about the current struggles that you are facing in midwifery and maternity services today. We've talked about working in an emotionally intense environment and how some of the things that we can't change, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much we want to, those external factors, we cannot change them. And I know that you are only too aware of them. Then we spoke about the internal factors. Okay, we walked you through my 5-step anxiety loop so you can see how those internal factors, how we think, how we feel, how we respond, contribute to the symptoms and problems that we experience. Stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the depression, the burnout, all of those things. And of course, now you've seen how we take a hand, how we have a role in creating them, we can uncreate them too. Okay, how cool is that? If I created this problem, I can uncreate it. How empowering is that? Might feel a little bit weird at first to begin with. I've got to say, for me, all those years ago when I first got over my anxiety, when I was like, I'm creating this, don't be daft, I would never do this to myself, it's horrible. But we do, we have a hand in it. And the moment you take responsibility for that, the moment that you start to see that you're unwittingly, nobody does this on purpose, unwittingly creating these symptoms and that you can uncreate them, you just become more motivated to learn the next steps and improve your life. Okay, so you can learn how to uncreate those symptoms using my methodology and the methodology that I'm teaching and have taught to so many midwives, healthcare professionals and service users over the years. Now I cannot wait to share it with you, okay, so that you can help yourself, you can help your family, and you can help the families in your care alongside those colleagues that you're working with too. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you found this enlightening. I would love to hear your thoughts. So go ahead, leave me a comment below the video, won't you? And I've got a question for you. I'm dying to know, can you see this loop playing out in your life? With your colleagues, with your family, with your friends, with the people that you care for? If you look closely, believe me, you will see it is there. So tell me, if you see this loop in action, let me know, won't you, underneath this video. So that's it from me. My name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, you are just one step away from reconnecting with your passion and your purpose and prospering in your life and career. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.